started doing shows in high school, and all I ever wanted to do was work with light. And I'm one of those lucky guys that got to do what he wanted to do. So it's just been an evolution from there, really. Well, initially it was to stay in business, but right now it is to sort of improve the quality of people's everyday environments. When I was doing theatrical work, the reason why I got out of it is because the only people that actually enjoyed it were sitting, in that seat, looking in that direction, at that moment in time. But now, when you work on buildings, when we do things, interiors, exteriors, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people get to have that as part of their daily life, and we'd like to be able to contribute to the environment to make their life just a little bit better. Oh, a lot of people ask me what my favorite project is, and I honestly can't answer that very clearly because often it's the one I'm working on right now because it's got my attention, and sometimes I can say, well, there were sort of landmark moments in the practice where we sort of laddered up to the next level and got more exposure and more opportunities, and so it's just kind of just working with light, having a good project that goes well with a happy client. Those are the best experiences. Impressionist painters, I think, especially when I was doing theatrical work, they painted with light. And that's what we try to do. That's what I'm still trying to do and trying to learn better ways to do that, to have colored shadows. There's so much that goes on in those shadows, more than just gray, right? Shadows are never actually gray. So to find ways to make that better, to make that more interesting, to add more texture, definitely Impressionism. I've been at this for quite a while, and in the theater, we had very precise point sources. When I started doing architectural lighting, we had great big fat lamps and gigantic fixtures, and dimming was a struggle. And I feel like now, with LEDs, it kind of has come full circle, where you have a very expressive light source, can be quite small and very precise. It is easily controllable, easily changeable. So it just opens the whole realm of possibilities that, to a great extent, have been closed off in the architectural world. Well, I try to not let that happen. I think you can get lost in technology, and you can say that, well, the answer to this job is this particular fixture or that particular light source, which is just foolish. It misses the point of it. I think that you start with a story, you start with an experience that you're trying to create, a storyline that you're trying to carry through, and then you figure out what are the sort of the visual moments, and then you figure out what pieces, what parts to use to make that happen, and where they could be located. The thing about doing it in the architectural realm is that when it's put in place, it stays there a long time, and the objects, the lights themselves, become part of the experience of the room or the experience of the building. So there's just a lot more things to think through when you go to try and make the idea happen. But without that visual image, without that storyline, without a place to start, it's just engineering. And that's not interesting. I think it's a topic that we've been going through a little bit today, that it takes more to impress people than it used to. And so do you want to just have gimmickry, or do you want to have something that interprets the particular building that you're working on, or the particular message that the client may be trying to get across, to try and be a little more subtle in your message? So I guess the adaptation really is the ability to change the appearance of the place you're working on, the building you're working on, in order to sort of give different sides of what that message might be. And certainly the LED control systems are very expressive and getting more so, which is good. It really opens up the possibilities of your imagination. Well, I guess what I've been hoping for is tighter pixel control, I guess I could say, where you could have a finer grain of control in terms of how you might be able to manipulate forms or colors or imagery. Some of the systems are still kind of clunky, or then you get immediately into a video board of some sort, which is not necessarily appropriate. I mean, I'm trying to find ways to render a building, render an object, not draw your attention to the lights or the image on a screen someplace. It's probably hard to explain, but you know, if you're trying to make water flow, right, and somebody's only going to be about 2 or 3 feet from that, it really has to be quite smooth. And if your control point is 1 foot, that doesn't go so well. So more granularity, I guess, is what I'm after. Well, most of the eyes are on a really tall building in New York City, the Empire State Building. And we've been lucky enough to continue to work with that client for a long time. But a long time ago, I worked on a train station in Philadelphia, and it has 3 million visitors a year pass through that. So, and that is just a historical restoration. And so, again, it kind of gets back to what I was saying earlier, that the idea, you know, why I'm doing this, is to try to influence a lot of people to make them appreciate their surroundings better, to make them have better surroundings entirely, and to maybe just give them a better day.